The Pod Squad.
The Pod Squad.
The Pod Squad.
The Pod Squad. It's the Pod Squad. The Pod Squad.
Hi, everyone.
Hola.
Spit guard. Just
My
in
logo
case.
cup. Can you see my logo? No, you can't see it on
I'll put this up here because Belinda's gonna start getting
there.
mad at us for getting all the names of these artists wrong.
It's
It's
Piet,
pronounced Van Gogh.
not Piet. Van Gogh.
It's pronounced Picoso, not Picasso. Kidding.
Very Picasso. Picoso.
How about Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yes, exactly.
Hey,
That great artist, Leonardo.
Yes.
Audio.
Cowabunga.
so how is everyone doing today?
All right.
Doing okay?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Mhm.
Getting there, getting there. Yep. And for those of you who do not know who we are, I'm Belinda. We got
Oh, Jose. I thought you were gonna introduce me.
Jose.
Like saying,
and
Mike.
there we go, and
I'm Victor.
Victor. And yeah, so we're missing Susan today, and hopefully we shall.
I'm the Ringo Starr of the group here.
The Ringo
The one in the back.
Got new shoes.
Got new shoes,
Yeah.
yes.
Cat got a
Show everybody.
cat got a line.
Show
cut.
everyone. Pick up your foot.
You know I will. You know I will. They still smell new. Everybody can take a whiff.
No, thank you.
We'll take your word.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
Got ourselves some snacks here. Cheese.
I know we were catered. We have a craft catering here.
Mm.
Yeah, charge services. Yeah.
Charcuterie.
Mhm.
Yep. I don't know. So
If the cat comes out of it, I'll bring her over because right now she's rolled up asleep. I think they use them. They anesthetize.
oh my god, was that a Freudian slip?
That's the
My
third time. That's the
God.
third time.
Poor kitty.
Yeah, she's
What did she have done?
She had a geriatric panel. They did blood work just to check her. They gave her a lion cut. They gave her B12 shots because they said she was anemic, and they gave her a bath. Oh, and that's subcutaneous fluids, which is if you're a cat owner, you've heard that before. But they give her-
IV.
it's a shot. They just kind of inject some kind of saline solution or fluids into the skin, which is
IV.
supposed to be good for their kidneys because their kidneys, she needs to drink more water.
Right.
So
You said last time she was how old? 15, 14?
about 13, 14.
Wow.
Poor kitty.
No, she's comfortable.
Hmm. Well, I don't know. How should we start off? We are short one person today.
Unfortunate.
Susan is not with us. She had some family stuff to do, so she will not be with us today. What else? Any other news?
We'll have our beverages.
Yes. Yes.
I see yours isn't mixed like last time.
No.
Unless you put a little something in
Some-
there.
The cup is a little less unobtrusive too.
Yeah.
I kept seeing when I was editing the other episode, there's like this ginormous cup like right in front of us.
Like Jose's.
Like Jose, yeah.
It says big gulp.
Big gulp.
It can be our replacement for Susan today because it's almost the size of us. You know.
Yeah, we can use Kitty too. What else? I don't know what else. Anybody gone to see the new Elvis movie yet?
I did.
Mm.
I did.
How
I've
was
been seeing
it?
a couple of movies. I was reluctant to go because one, all the promos were making this poor guy out to be a pretty boy, which he is, but they really weren't focusing that much on his talent. And I was like, oh, brother, you know, I don't really want to go watch a pretty boy strut around up there. And the other reason was Baz Luhrmann, and I'm not a big Baz Luhrmann fan. He's the director. He tends to be a little over the top with his editing sometimes. It's very frenetic. And there were moments like that where he did do that, but he kind of toned it down a little bit. The music was great so long as it was like Elvis music, but Baz Luhrmann, he did The Great Gatsby.
Mhm.
And with Leonardo DiCaprio, the updated version. And as you know, he included a lot of rap music in that, which is a little weird considering Great Gatsby is set in a Depression era. But for some people that works. And he did that again here. There were moments where he would throw in some contemporary music. But again, the focus was mostly on Elvis, his life, his music. And that made it much more enjoyable. And I do want to give Austin Butler a lot of credit because this guy is a really good actor. He's not just a pretty boy. He's a very good actor. And I think, my opinion, he's going to get nominated for Best Actor because he did a really, really good job.
Wow.
He looks just like Elvis. It helps that he already kind of looks like him a little bit, especially as a youth. But as they went through Elvis's life and he got older and they were using prosthetics, I mean, I was like, is that Elvis? Is that, he looks just like, they did a really, really good job.
Wow.
Yeah. And the performances, and I think you have an advantage if you're an actor. If you do a biopic of a performer like Freddie Mercury or Ray Charles, you're almost a shoo-in to get nominated for Best Actor because those are performers.
Right.
And as an actor, you want to perform, and that just makes your character larger than life. And especially since it's about that guy, you're in a lot of scenes. It's not like you're in a few scenes. You're like in every scene in the movie. And you really get to showcase your talent, which he did, which I think he pulled it off really, really well. And I was very impressed with the movie. I like it a lot. I would recommend it. And like I said, if you're into that kind of music, I'd strongly recommend you go check it out.
Daniel Radcliffe is doing a Weird Al Yankovic biopic.
Yeah, I want to see that too.
I heard about
He comes
that.
out as Weird Al Yankovic.
That would be curious to see the behind the scenes Weird Al.
Yeah.
You know, because I know how he is on camera.
We've heard about it.
Weird. There is.
We do have one story.
We got the
Yes,
story here, the Weird Al story.
Weird Al, like he's very intelligent. I know that. But
Wow.
you know, as he get into some of his relationships and stuff, that'll be interesting to see how the Weird Al story would be. But yeah, the Elvis movie's great. Yeah, and I was telling the guys before you got here, Belinda, that I saw Amores Perros last night on streaming.
Is it your first time?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm a big fan of Iñárritu, but I just had not seen that movie,
Mhm.
and I saw that I want to see this movie, so I watched it last night, and it was good.
It's good. Yeah, it's a good movie.
Mhm.
Yep.
I found out what Amores Perros.
I
I was
don't remember. Do they
I
run
was-
it as a
they
subtitle
do
or under?
subtitles.
Yeah.
Oh, they have to. I'm gonna admit I'm a coconut. Okay, I'm a coconut, as coconutty as it gets. You know, so. For a long time, this movie came out, what, 99, 2000, a long time ago.
Yeah.
All this time, I haven't seen it. I always assumed that I love dogs, dog love. Dog, okay, whatever. It wasn't until they flashed the
love dogs.
subtitle on the TV that it said "loves a bitch." Like,
Oh.
now I
That makes
understand what it
sense.
means. Now it makes sense. So, you know, but it was a very good movie. Of course, United was a great director, but the performances were good. But yeah, so I've been watching a few movies lately.
I
So
thought he was talking about the John Cusack movie, Must Love Dogs.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
How would you say that in Spanish?
That's good. I don't know.
That'll be our next episode. Foreign language films.
¿Te gustan perros? I don't know.
I don't know. That's a good question. How would you say that? And not make it
Must
sound
love
like
dogs.
love's a bitch.
Well, I would use
yeah.
another word for bitch. I don't know.
Oh,
Soccer
yeah.
fans use it a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's why I always assumed that love dogs. That's why I didn't know. I had another word in mind.
Gotcha.
So that's
This is Pod Squad after midnight. Here.
Yes.
All right.
I'm gonna give you a little embarrassing story. My last week of summer school in one of it was like a first grade class, so they're little ones, and they wanted to know like different words in French and in Spanish and whatever, and so one of my examples was perro perra. I said, well, you know what perro is, right? Okay, so what is it? And I said, so what's a perra? And I thought, oh shoot, that was a bad example. I probably shouldn't have used that one. But they were okay. They didn't say anything they shouldn't. So yeah.
So as you see, this is quite an educational show.
Yes.
We're learning a lot today.
We're learning a lot.
Educating the youth of America.
That's right.
This is as we seg into our bilingual show next time. Yes.
Yeah. It's a little embarrassing. We got through it. It was fine. It was fine. Well, so today we're talking about artists, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Artwork. I don't know. We didn't give each other any guidelines. Just
Well, I think we should start off by saying that you are an art teacher, so you are kind of a
Yes.
resident expert.
and because of that, I kind of don't want to talk that much.
Well, once we start
I
talking,
want you guys to like.
She doesn't want to dominate the whole
Yeah.
podcast.
Exactly.
No, I'm not worried about that because as soon as we start talking, she'll go, "That's not right." I already know. I already know.
The-
What? I already know.
The Belinda Art Show featuring the Pod Squad. Yeah.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right.
Yeah, cut. Yeah, so I brought one of my books
brought a
right
book.
here.
Oh, no.
She's going to read every page.
She's gonna correct us.
If you would like to learn more about some famous works of art, you can pick one of these up.
Are we sponsored by this publishing?
No, actually, no.
Is it
I
the-
just happened to bring it. It actually arrived in my Amazon stuff today. I was like,
It's not the Orchid Tape Publishing Company.
no, not the orchard taste. I have another book supposedly waiting for me at home. Hopefully they didn't deliver it to the wrong place. Yesterday, a young lady who lives in the neighborhood knocks on the door. Dumb mailman brought me this. This is yours. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
So everybody in your neighborhood knows you're an art teacher.
No, it had my
Oh,
my
okay.
address and name on it. That's why. Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know. Should we just
Start.
start?
Flip-
Yeah. Yeah.
Flip a coin.
Go ahead.
Should we just talk about it?
Go ahead. Go ahead. He's got it. He's got
I
it.
think I
Let's
started
go.
the
Let's
last
go.
one. I think it's
Did
somebody
you? No,
else's
you
turn.
didn't. Did you?
I think I did.
You started with the outsiders last time?
Didn't I?
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah.
We talked about that before.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, I think I went second.
But it
I thought
doesn't-
you had gone
But
first.
it doesn't matter.
You want to go? Oh,
Whatever. Well, you go.
okay.
After you. No, after you.
Last time it was
Well,
someone
okay.
at the end. This time
No,
it's like
after
someone
you.
in the
So
middle.
let me tell you about mine now. So I have a hard time picking. This is for anything. This is not just with the topic of art, but I have a really hard time choosing favorites of anything. I have like really eclectic taste, so I'm like all over the place with everything, including artwork. So I don't really have too many like favorites lists. or top 3 or whatever, because I can't narrow things down to that. That's part of the reason why I don't want to like talk too much about like what I like, because really it's very broad. Like my tastes are very broad, and I can't just pick like one thing. So I don't know, but I think one of you guys should start just to get me started, because I can't.
Hey, you can't look at my stuff. I know you're.
Oh, I was gonna do that one.
It's like one of those students we have in class all the time.
I was gonna
Of
do
all
that
the
one.
artists.
Victor had his cheat notes over there.
I was
so-
gonna do Dr. Seuss, but damn it. Jeez. Charles
Charles
Schultz.
Schultz.
Charles Schultz, there you go.
Larson was his name. Larson.
There you go.
Oh man. Jeez. Well, I'll go first.
So it could be
Let's just
anyone,
get
yeah,
this
it
thing
doesn't matter.
going. Okay.
Let's
So I'm gonna start, and I don't want to. He's a San Antonio artist, but I don't like using the term a local artist because he's more than that. And he's well known. He has works in the Smithsonian. I'm talking about Jesse Trevino.
Mhm.
Jesse Trevino is a accomplished artist. He was born in Mexico, Monterrey, in 1946. His family immigrated to San Antonio, settled in San Antonio, and one of the remarkable things about him is, I mean, he obviously showed his talent early on and made it to New York City to the Art Students League, art school in New York, and while he was there, he actually got drafted into the Vietnam War. So he quit school to go to and he could have gotten out of it, but he chose to serve. His brothers and other family members had served, and he felt it was his duty to serve. So he was drafted in 1966. He was only in Vietnam a few months. He got drafted in December of 1966, but February of 67, he had already
He was in home.
met some misfortune.
Yeah.
He was severely wounded, and the result of his injuries was that he had to have his painting. He's a painter, and he had to have his painting arm amputated, and they amputated his arm in 1970. Not right away, just several years, and they finally decided the best course of action for him was just to have his wounded arm amputated. And he had to retrain himself to paint with his other hand. And to me, that's just remarkable because he was already he
Got to
was,
rewire your whole
yeah,
brain to do that. Yeah.
he had already resigned himself to the fact that he may not paint again, but he didn't give up. He came back. He trained himself to paint with the other hand. Got a BA of art, Bachelor of Arts at Our Lady of the Lake, Master of Fine Arts at UTSA. What's really impressive about is his painting style. It's you look at his paintings and it's a photorealistic style.
Mhm.
And if you've never seen his work, look him up, Google him. I mean, it's just amazing. And his thing is to paint what he knows. He paints a lot of landmarks here around the city. His neighborhood, his family, his friends. Some of his early works are in the 70s, or he's got one called Mis Hermanos. It's just his homeboys hanging around like the backyard drinking beer, and it's one of his more famous paintings. And he's done murals, sculptures. 2003, he did the Avenida Guadalupe, and in 1993, La Velador of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And you have to look at it at his works. Some of his more famous works are La Raspa, Rosita. He's painted Our Lady of the Lake University, Mission San Jose. Here's one of the largest mosaic tiles. It's on the Santa Rosa Children's Hospital. It's called The Spirit of Healing. It's 93 by 43 feet.
Beautiful.
It's huge. You drive by it. It's a beautiful.
Yeah, if you're ever traveling through San Antonio and you happen to go through downtown on 35, right?
35 and Houston Street.
35 in Houston, you'll see it right off. It's
Can't miss it.
yeah.
It's beautiful.
So like I mentioned before, some of his works are made it to the Smithsonian. He's an incredible artist, and if you're not familiar with him, you need to look him up.
Excellent.
Very cool. Have you ever heard him speak? Have you ever?
No, but
He's
pretty
around town
familiar-
a lot,
I'm
so
pretty familiar with him.
Yeah.
I've been following him since my college days.
Yeah.
I did a report on him in my art class in college.
did you?
Nice.
My teacher just took over the whole class. She was so excited my professor, that we were talking about him. She was very fond of him as well.
Nice.
So
Yeah, it's really nice to see people Latino and Hispanic culture here in San Antonio like reflected in his artwork. You don't see that very often anywhere. So to know that he's like a really solid Chicano artist, and we see ourselves represented in his artwork is really cool.
local boy done good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Would anyone comment on that, or ready for the next round?
I don't know. I'll go next, but I don't know if you guys are ready for mine.
Uh-oh.
I picked.
Did you have a list like last time?
I had a list, but there was one that stuck out in my head more than all of the other ones. So I'm just going to talk about it real quick because I didn't really do a lot of research like I normally do. Because I figured, nobody ever does research, so I'm the only one that does it. So, no, I'm just kidding. But I picked one that sort of stuck in my head, and it's not really. The guy says that he's an artist, and he says that he tried painting, he tried doing sculpting, but he wasn't really good at it. So he decided to go ahead and start taking photographs, right? So it's considered to be art, right? I mean, still, even though it's not, even though it's not on a canvas, right?
Right.
But his name is Andres Serrano. And so in 1987, he did a series of photographs where he put certain things inside of different, I guess, like jars of liquid or something. And he had one which was Jesus, and he's sort of like in this. From when you look at the picture, it's the crucifix, is in sort of like this amber honey-colored sort of liquid, but it's actually supposed to be urine. And so, nobody knew who this guy was until he displayed this right in a, what do you call it? Like when they have these big shows or whatever, like a big show, yeah, showing or whatever. Yeah. Thank you for clearing that up. A big show, right? Big shoe. And so, of course, people started debating it, like, is this really art? Because I kind of thought that was the question we were going to be discussing today, like, what is art, right? And so
we can.
So I mean, some people were like raving about it and saying that it was innovative or whatever. And then of course there's a whole bunch of other people that saw it as offensive. But if you think about it, had he not labeled it Piss Christ, because that's the name of the work of art, people wouldn't have known that it was urine, right? If he would have never explained that it was urine, they would have just been wondering, why is it in that amber colored liquid? But it wasn't until the title was revealed that then people were offended by it. He says that he's not trying to be controversial, but he was saying that the crucifixion of Jesus, right? He's on there, he was on there for several days, he peed on himself or he pooped on himself, it's like he's dying, right? As usually happens when people are dying, right? And so he says that's sort of like a representation of the experience to remind people that that's what he went through, that he was, going through this torture. Now, is that really what he meant? And I don't know. That's his explanation, but could he be doing it just to kind of like cover himself because he's trying to like avoid more controversy or people to look at him as being
controversial,
blasphemous, right? Like blasphemer. But I mean, that's the reason I picked that one. I picked that one because I thought it was something that kind of like we can debate, or people can debate and decide, like, well, what is actually art? You know, is that considered art, something like that? We talked about, like, a few years ago when that guy sold, I don't know for how many millions of dollars, a canvas with a banana, and then he put a piece of, like, duct tape on it, and that was it. He just duct taped a banana on a canvas, and he sold it for, like, I don't know how many millions of dollars. And eventually the banana rotted and, you know, fell away and everything.
Right.
But, you know, somebody out there saw it and was like, oh my God, this is the greatest piece of art I've ever seen. Even though it's just you know, it probably cost him like
made big bucks at
$1 for everything, right? If everything was worth like about $1 that he put together into it in material. So I don't know, that was something that I picked. And I always remembered that because I saw the in a book, maybe somewhere, I saw that work of art, and I always wondered, you know, it just stuck with me. The name of it stuck with me. And again, if I didn't know what the name of it was, I would have just seen, oh, it's just another picture of crucifix and Jesus.
Those types of pieces or works always humor me. I mean, I've seen it before, not just you know, a painting or a sculpture, but I've even seen it in film. I went to a film festival once, and we were literally, there's a full auditorium watching a film of somebody rubbing a jalapeno pepper on their eye. And that was it.
Yeah.
We watched that for about 10 minutes. And I was waiting for something to happen. And that was the film.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
Is that
Did
art?
they show what happened? Did they show them crying?
Well, I mean, yeah,
or-
there's tears coming out. You rub a jalapeno in your eye. What do you think's gonna happen? Yeah, that's it. Like, okay.
So is that art?
Is that a film
Yeah.
technique?
Is that
You know,
art?
when
Well,
you
I know
do
there's,
that
I
art.
can't remember the name of the film, but there's a film of, and it was supposedly at some film festival a long time ago, where it was just somebody sleeping. They just shot a movie of someone sleeping.
Sleeping.
For 8 hours, whatever. That's all. You know, so that, yeah, like, the question is that art?
So I guess that is a good question. What do you feel art is, or what do you feel it should be? I think in general, the public has lots of different views on what it is. Some people think it's just something that's supposed to be aesthetically pleasing and beautiful to look at.
It can be.
It can be, yes. Some people think it should be utilitarian, and that's where we get like crafts from. You know, there's lots of different thoughts on what art is. So I don't know, what do you all think it is? Would you consider that art?
Well, I think by its very nature, art, in a way, one of the ways to define art is to be without rules, without structure, because that is what truly allows you to think outside the box and be creative and do something that nobody's done before. Because if you have too many rules, that's not art, because everybody's going to be trying to do the same thing. So in order to be artistic, you have to kind of break the rules or go outside the box.
So okay. Good.
the art
That's a
teacher.
good. There we go.
Yeah,
There we
we're about ready
go.
to class has begun. Here we go.
She's going to send me to
Class
detention.
has started. Wrong. Wrong.
To the corner.
To the principal's office. Away with you, Victor.
That's a great place to start. So
No crayons for you, Victor.
According to chapter,
It even says
Page
the chapter's title.
125.
The chapter's
is
title
wrong.
is Victor is wrong. That's the chapter, the title.
yeah.
So okay, so no, that's a good question. That's a good place to start, because if you feel that art is supposed to be limitless and free and just like bound by no rules, then where does that leave artists like Leonardo da Vinci? Or the one that I was going to bring up was Pierre Mondrian, who I don't. You guys probably we'll put up a bigger picture, but anyway, Pierre Mondrian. Pierre Mondrian had all these rules about what his art was supposed to be like. He, together with another group with a group of artists, like all together, they developed this style called the steel, and it translates into the style. And the style was that things were broken down into squares and rectangles. You were only allowed to use black and white and the 3 primary colors, no other colors. And from that, he gets all these kind of different, he gets all these different paintings, but they're basically look like just a bunch of squares and rectangles. And for a lot of people, that is art, but you could not stray from those rules that they set.
Okay.
All
right, I have
so
reformulating a counter to what you're saying.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Awesome. All right. So
I'm ready to debate.
Rebuttal.
So where would you place artists like that? Leonardo da Vinci had rules that, the classic rules of what art should be. That it should be realistic, that it should be, I guess during his time, it was supposed to be more scientific, and you were able to see like the atmosphere and like, what it would look like in reality. So
is that a reflection of the time they were living in?
well, obviously,
Right.
that's part of it. Yeah.
Well, so they were limited by the rules of that time period, right?
Hold on.
When they
So
were
my
Hitler.
opinion is that every artist creates their own rules. Now, if Leonardo da Vinci created rules for himself, that doesn't mean everybody else has to do it his way. But society will look at that and approve of it. And some people will say, oh, that's the way it's supposed to be, but not necessarily. The artist creates art. The people who view it don't create art. They just try to interpret it. That's what we do. What we're talking about today is interpreting artwork that somebody else did. We're not saying this is art, that's art. We don't get to do that. The artist has to do that. So Da Vinci had his own rules. When he talked about, there's artists that makes statues out of junk.
Mm-hmm.
That's their art. That's their way of creating. That doesn't mean we have to consider it art. We can't, because we didn't create it. All we can do is look at it and either approve of it or not approve of it. But to him, it's still art.
Okay.
That's my
Good.
that's my comeback.
I liked it better when we used to argue about King Kong versus Godzilla, or Lost in Space versus Star Trek.
Well, we can argue Leonardo versus Picasso in a fight.
There you
Who would
go.
win? Who would win? Anybody win? Who would win?
He's got the bigger guns.
That'd be Michelangelo, because he had to have muscles to chisel
He
all
did,
that
yes.
sculpture. Yeah, so he was, of course, now we get into Ninja Turtle stuff. But,
there you go. Okay, very good. All
What?
right. Well, so then where do you think your example of art
See, this
He
is what
said
I was going
you-
to say, because
yeah.
y'all's interpret what y'all are talking about as far as art or rules or no rules or
Mhm. that's just
structure, right?
one thing, right?
My thing about art is like, what does it evoke in people when you see it? And it doesn't mean it'd be something beautiful. It can be something ugly. You're like, ugh, that is part is art, right? Because
Yes.
it evokes something maybe negative, but still, right? Or maybe what you think is negative, I may not think it is, right? So again, that's something beyond just what you feel, but just open to, I don't know what category that falls under, but where you're sort of like making a judgment, I guess.
Mhm.
I don't know what category that falls under, but
Mhm.
your own free will, I guess, to decide like what you like and what you don't like.
That goes back to what you said about the jar with urine with the cross in it.
Mhm.
The art doesn't end with just the presentation. And my idea when I heard about that was that the art also includes your reaction to it. That's part of the art. That's part of what he wanted to do. Because some artists, they create something and okay, that's what I created. But some artists create stuff and they say, okay, now how do you react to it?
Right.
They want you to react to it, and they want that to be part of the experience.
Yes.
And everybody's been experienced. Some people will be offended. Some people will laugh. Mike said he thought that some of that stuff is funny, and so that's actually part of the art is getting you to react to something.
Exactly.
And that's to me, I don't know if every artist does that, but I think some do.
No, not every artist does. So yeah, I guess like I mentioned earlier, every artist has their own. I guess what they,
Like their motive.
yeah, like
or-
their
yeah,
motives,
their-
what they're trying to accomplish with their artwork, whether it's again something just beautiful to look at, whether it's something to provoke emotions out of the viewer, whether it's to maybe it's a social political statement, or there could be lots of different things. So to view artwork in just one, with using just one lens is going to be difficult, judging everything just using that one lens, because there are going to be different motives for like different artists, as far as how.
And to me, an artist, unless he's motivated by something,
Or she.
I would, or she, very good, thank you, thank you very much, Georgia O'Keeffe.
Or they.
Or
We want to
there you
be
go.
all inclusive
Yes.
here.
Thank you. Yes.
I would think naming your art is one of the most difficult things to do, because once you name it, you're already putting it in a category, and people are going to have expectations based on the title. So I would think a lot of artists would prefer not to give a name at all, and let the name come from whoever's viewing it. Like I said, unless they're
Interesting.
doing a still life, apples and oranges on a bowl.
Mhm.
Well, what else can that be?
'Cause that's kind of like what I was saying about
Lunch.
this one. is that It was.
They should do like race horses. Give them really weird names. What does that mean?
Joker's Folly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something random.
You guys are having really serious conversation. Our brain is just still stuck on who's the better artist, King Kong or Godzilla. And King Kong's got arms, long arms. He could reach the ceiling.
Fire,
What's
man.
Godzilla gonna do? He can't reach the ceiling.
No.
What's he gonna do? An abstract? Splatter
Fire.
paint?
Fire.
Splatter
Reach.
paint? King Kong could hang from the ceiling.
Oh
He
my
could think
God.
all day long.
King Kong can probably
King
get
Kong is definitely the better artist.
sculptor. He's
Yeah.
a better sculptor than Godzilla. is.
Godzilla got no arms, man. He ain't gonna do nothing.
Can't do it.
Oh
He could
my
maybe smash
goodness.
grapes.
Smash grapes.
You gonna call that art? I guess. But yeah, King Kong is my vote.
There you go. Artist of the year.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, go back to being serious. I had to get that off my brain. I was like, I have to say something.
That's
all I could think of.
That's like a commercial break. I like that.
Sometimes that's necessary.
Sorry. Okay.
No, don't be sorry.
So
Okay,
where were we? Yeah.
So yeah, what did we end up?
What chapter were we on?
We were
Back to PBS hour here.
We were talking about rules.
Yes.
We were talking about rules. So, what was the art piece you were talking about?
Oh,
The one he was.
the one he was talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he was talking about like naming it. Once you name it, then that kind of
Right.
defines what
Okay.
it is. But I was trying to say, like, well, it's like I was saying, if you had seen the piece without knowing the name of it,
Right.
you probably wouldn't have cared. But once people knew what the name of it was, then they were like provoked, right?
That sets your expectations.
Yeah.
Which maybe the artist doesn't want you to have expectations.
Yeah. Or maybe he did in this case, or in this case, he wanted people.
Because like you said, people were offended, but because they didn't interpret it the way he meant for it to be.
Right.
Right. So that's,
Yeah.
because he put the name.
Mhm.
So if we take him, for his word, then then I guess
Right.
people need to
And
think about what he said. But do I believe that was really his purpose? Probably not.
Well, you can debate that on.
So you can,
But,
that's what you
but
believe,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, it's open to interpretation, right?
Yeah.
So there.
Our next episode, no.
Do we still have time? Are we okay on
We're gonna
time?
debate War and Peace.
Oh, that's right. Is this? No, we're recording, so we don't
Okay.
have to do an hour like last. When we do Zoom calls, we always have to stop because it's
Well,
like.
it is a Zoom call.
Oh, it is.
Oh, it
So
is?
it-
Okay.
Yeah.
will it run out?
Oh, 40 minutes, yeah, but
Okay.
I'm surprised that it hasn't come up yet.
I was gonna say, will we be able
Are
to
we
see
recording?
it from this
We
far
should,
away?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
it'll
was
come up on
gonna
top.
say- I'm gonna say, I was like,
Ooh, all that
I
wonderful
know.
debate.
All right, now let's do
just
it all over
lost.
again.
No, nobody heard anything I said because Mike's cup was blocking the microphone. So
That's Jose.
Mike, yeah, Jose's
Jose's cup.
We've been doing this for a year and a half.
He was
still
quick,
don't know our names.
quick to correct that, woo.
He still doesn't know our names.
Mike Jose, whoever this guy is sitting next to me, I don't know who he is. I never pay attention to him anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm eating another snack. Go ahead.
Either way.
Who's next?
Yeah, I wasn't done yet.
Oh, go
No,
ahead.
no, I'm just kidding. I'm just
No.
kidding. I was done.
Did you have another artwork?
Well, I was looking up some others just in case, but no, I didn't really have any other than that one. That was the main one. And then when Mike brought up that artist right now, what was his name again?
Jesse Trevino?
Yeah, I'm familiar with him. The other one I thought of was the guy by the name of Alana Hernandez, who he became famous because of the art that he did in that movie Blood In, Blood Out.
Mhm, mhm.
And so it seems like they kind of came from maybe around that same era. 'Cause
Right.
in the 70s, it was a real big art movement, the Chicano art movement,
Mhm.
especially in murals. You know, like even here in San Antonio, you could pretty much not go anywhere where you're not going to see a mural somewhere. There's going to be one somewhere everywhere. And especially now even more, it's almost like it's kind of started all over again. In the last-
Well, it's more.
but it's not
considered
Chicano
street art.
anymore. Yeah, it's not Chicano anymore, but there are still some like places where you can see some of the old Chicano murals, like on the west side, like on some of the
I don't know
courts
why I
and-
use air quotes, but yeah, it would be considered more like street art,
Yeah,
you know, where you're.
but there's
using
a few
spray-
here and there where you'll see
spray
like a
cans and
little bit
stuff.
of like a Chicano influence, you know, like some, you know, Mayan symbol or, you know, a famous Chicano like Selena or something. But yeah, I guess these guys were kind of coming up around that same era, and there are probably others too that we haven't mentioned here either. But and by the way, Cheech Marin opened up a museum on Chicano art. He says he's he owns one of the biggest collections of Chicano art.
Is it in LA?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's in somewhere in California, Los
I'll have to
Angeles.
go out there one.
But yeah, he has on display like a bunch of Chicano artists, which pretty cool, I think.
They're like Tony Parker's heroes.
Not exactly. like-
Did y'all go see that?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
I did.
Oh, you did. I remember you used to having the pictures.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
So what do you think?
Cheech Marin? Or
No, Tony Parker,
hero
superheroes.
and villains.
Well, I don't want to take us off track too much, but it was good. If you like superheroes and Marvel and DC,
Is that art?
it's pretty cool.
It was being housed in a museum?
Again, it depends on the person who created it, and I think most of them were created for the purpose of movies.
They were more like displays.
They're more like displays, like something you would put out in front of a movie theater to promote.
That's what
a
I
movie.
figured. Yeah.
I
I still want to go see them.
Some people might
But
consider.
doesn't that
I
provoke
would
an
consider
emotion?
Well, happiness.
Like-
Yeah,
like,
I don't think.
Oh my
it
God, I want to see
necessarily
that
has
movie
to
because of
be-
this robot that's outside. You know, it's so cool. And then you go purchase a
No.
ticket.
Yeah.
and-
That's where the kids go. I want a picture, and then you run up there, throw them all around, stand back.
Well, you know, because this is what people do with statues, and this is similar what was in the display. You know, the
Yeah.
superheroes, and there's one where Darth Vader's reaching out, so naturally somebody would stand on the other side and reach out to him and have their picture taken.
Right, right.
So is that art? Because they're adding. That's their interpretation.
Art is everywhere, man.
Art is everywhere. That's
Everywhere.
Life is art.
I don't disagree with that.
Art is
Life is
everywhere,
art.
man.
Yes.
Everywhere.
There is. Oh, I'll have to look at it. I'll talk to y'all about that artist in a little bit. But thinking about life as art. Anyway, go ahead. Keep going. Keep going. Well, we'll come back
We haven't
to
got
that.
There,
we haven't got to her yet, so
Yeah.
she's reserving the next hour just
The next hour.
exclusively just for her.
This is going to be one of our two-part episodes.
Chapter 1.
Chapter one.
Are we going to talk about sfumato?
About what?
Hey,
Sfumato.
the Kama Sumatro.
Sfumato, the shading that they do on the
Oh.
tempera.
Oh.
I have never heard of that, so I'm learning something new. Sumatu?
Sfumato. Yes, I took an art class in college, but I'm not the art teacher. I would think you were the one who.
That's
I
how
was-
that
that
a
does
kind of
not
tea?
sound, unless
No, when you look at art from, especially from the
What's the matu with you?
Yeah, it's a sfumato. It might sfumato, but basically, if you look at Renaissance art, if it's a painting of somebody in a foreground and there's like a forest in the background, to give it depth, they make it
Sfumato. I'm like, what are you saying? What's sumato? It sounds Japanese. I'm like, what?
Mr. Robato.
Arigato, Mr. Sumato.
That's what I'm thinking of. What are y'all talking about? I've heard that before. That a stick song? Yeah, that's the one. That's art too, sure.
trying to guess what was come out of the book. So it's been a while.
Yeah, it says it right here in the glossary.
Fumatu, right?
Fu Manchu.
Fumatu. She was absent that day.
I was like, can you spell that? But I didn't want to call him out. I was like, unless you're talking about like.
It's in the chapter. Victor is wrong.
And you're
Wait a
saying,
minute, since when do you not want to call us out?
It's in the Victor is wrong chapter.
When you didn't know what he was talking about, I was thinking he was probably not pronouncing it right.
I figured
That's
the
what
same
I thought
thing
too,
too.
but
was
I
like,
thought he seemed so
He must be
sure of
talking
it.
about tomato, but
Tomato,
I'm
tomato,
not sure
tomato.
he is.
Let's
Oh
call the
my
whole
God.
thing off, right?
Tomato.
Oh my goodness. Yes, it's
There you
tomato.
Yeah, that's what I was. I didn't know how deep we were going to go into.
So
this.
what is it?
Well, when they make the background fuzzy.
Oh, okay.
Autofocus.
Yes, autofocus.
Like you said, like
Depth
smoky,
of
it looks
field,
smoky,
depth of
foggy.
field, kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
yeah,
What did
very
you say
big
that?
in the Renaissance. Yes.
Tempura. I know I'm pronouncing that right.
Tempura, yes, it's tempura.
Tempura.
Okay.
Isn't that
No,
like
it's not tempura.
Sushi.
You don't know how many times I've seen it written like that. I'm like,
Tempura.
not tempura.
Although it doesn't involve food.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. I just learned how to make tempura.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, cool. You can end our
So
show.
tempura painting of
Give our fans something to do. Arts and crafts.
Woo! Let's make some stuff. Woo!
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. I'm gonna try it one of these days. But yeah, I just learned.
Okay, so how do you say it again? Fumatu?
Sfumato.
It's a fumato. It's a
Sfumato.
fumato.
That's
It's
what we
an
have.
Italian word.
That's why we have a spit guard on the
I
microphone.
know.
It's sfumato.
Supper and succotash. All our viewers are lisps too. So no offense, okay?
That's me.
So is that the way it's supposed to be pronounced? Or you just telling,
No.
or you just telling us 'cause you have a list?
No,
I need
I
that
do.
guard right
I
here.
do.
Like I'm SeaWorld.
I still have a
a splash zone
in the
right here.
splash zone.
Yeah, sfumato. Okay.
Oh, sorry, we interrupted. you
Yeah,
there,
go ahead,
Victor.
keep going.
Oh, was
What
it my
your
turn?
thought
As you were
going?
saying,
You're
I was
talking
just
about
responding to something else.
sfumato.
you were saying,
Hasn't
or you were
started
rudely
yet.
interrupted by
Yeah.
someone over here.
What the hell are you talking about?
That's a fumato.
So rudely interrupted by the expert.
The googly hind.
Yeah, you just had to set the record straight.
The
Yeah.
director, the googly hind
That's
over
right.
here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well,
Oh, is it my turn?
yeah, I guess
Oh.
so. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to bring up two artists. One. Okay, so let's go back in the Wayback Machine.
In the Wayback.
I think we did this last week too, way back to when I was first exposed to something.
Hey, wait a minute.
What kind of
I
art
don't
are you
like where
talking
this
about?
is going, guys. I don't like this.
Amores perros.
This is one of those ones that folds. It does actually. The one I'm not going to
Okay.
talk about. No. When I was you'll understand
Oh my goodness.
when I was a kid, I hung out with this friend of mine, and I used to go to his house all the time. And one day, him and his dad said, "Let's go visit my friend's uncle." Okay, so we got in the car and drove over to his uncle's house, and we kind of snuck into his bedroom and going through his album collection.
Oh, okay.
Those records, right? And there was an album that I looked at, and it burned this image in my head that I could not forget. And I didn't pay attention to who it was. I was about 11 years old at the time.
Bigfoot, the Flame
No,
Rick James.
that when you see what I'm talking
Rush
about.
2112.
The Nirvana.
The little baby chasing the dollar
Yeah.
bill in the water.
Yeah.
I don't know if that album. Wait a minute, I'm talking about the way back machine.
Okay. Okay.
And they had the Vitrola still.
The dog talking into the thing. Yeah, the
RCA,
dog.
his
Yeah.
master's voice.
Master's voice. Yes. Where are you at? You know.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So this image was burned into my head, and I couldn't get. Years would go by, and I kept going back. What the hell was that I was looking at? And I like artistic things that, I gawk at. Like, what is that? And so eventually, as I got older, like in high school and stuff, I was like researching. What was that? Where did I see that? And at the time, I thought it was just album art, but it wasn't. It was actually borrowed from an old painting from back in the 14th century. Okay. And if I can, the artist, as I finally discovered it. The artist's name was, I was going to think about another artist. Hieronymus Bosch.
Anonymous.
Okay.
And
And
I think it's Bosque, but I'm not sure.
it could be.
It could be.
It could be Sfumato.
Sfumato.
Excuse me.
That is middle name there. Sfumato.
I need a bib every time I say that word.
Anonymous Bosch.
Hieronymus.
Anonymous.
All right.
Hieronymus.
Hieronymus, but he was back in the medieval times, back in the
Yeah.
1400s, 1500s, and he did a lot of his artwork on wood, and then he would put some kind of glaze on it to try to preserve it. But to my knowledge, when I did some research, there's only about 16 pieces that are still around that are attributed to him. And the image that I saw on the album was actually from an album, I believe it was Deep Purple 6, as I found out. And it's part of a triptych. This is where the folding part comes in. And a triptych, and if, please correct me if I'm not saying that right.
It's correct.
Triptych is a panel of art that is in 3 sections. Okay. And so the entire work of art is called the Garden of Earthly Delights, and it's currently at the Prado in Madrid, Spain. But the first part of it depicts Adam and Eve being introduced to each other by God. And a lot of his work is very secular. Okay, but the middle part talks about more like people sinning and people doing things they shouldn't be doing. And then the third triptych is the one that was on the album. It shows what hell looks like, his interpretation of hell. And it is so bizarre and so mind-blowing. And I kind of like, what is that? And I'm not even going to describe it to you. You'll see it when she puts it's difficult to describe because it's just way out there. And I had to wonder, is this guy mentally ill or what's he on
It
some
was
kind
the
of
60s. They were probably
hallucinogenic?
yes.
Because it's really way out there.
1460s. Yeah.
There's like human bodies all over the place, half of them, and legs here, and creatures there, and demons there, and just all kind of. It's very dark and it's scary.
Place.
Yeah, and it's intended to make you behave, because it's showing you if you behave this way, this is what you're going to end up in, and you don't want to go there because it's a scary looking place. And it just that image just would not leave my head, and I just had to find out who that was. And so Hieronymus Bosch is somebody that I wanted to talk about because it's not stuff you see very much, but again, goes back to what I was saying about. I don't know if he intended it for people to react a certain way. He wanted people to behave because he was obviously trying to do, guess what he felt was God's work by scaring people into behaving and not sinning. And
that's why you're the saint you are.
Yeah, well, more than some.
That's hitting.
Because you need to, when you see this, you're not going to want to do anything wrong anymore. Because it's really a scary place that he depicted in this painting. And again, it's a 3-part painting, but it's the third one that got to me when I was 11 years old. in my best friend's uncle's music room, looking at his albums, and that, like I said, that image just would not. It was stuck there. It's still stuck there. So I like things that tend to evoke a reaction from me. I can look at a still life all day long, and I'm like, apples and oranges, okay. But I look at this, and I'm going, whoa! I got to stop everything, and I got to really look at this and find out what is this all about. Now, obviously, they weren't throwing me all three panels. I was just looking. Even it wasn't even the whole panel. It was like a half of the panel on the album cover. So there's much more to it, but that part was very, very. It evoked a lot of emotion from me because it was like, whoa, I was scary. It's just a scary looking thing. So that's Hieronymus Bosch, and he was like back in the 1400s, 1500s. So that's
before you move on, I want to just address that topic of album cover art. It's something we don't have anymore, just like ticket stubs. It's just gone by the wayside.
That's a good point.
But the 60s, especially in the 70s, I mean, there was some great album cover art.
That's true.
Maybe a topic for another episode.
Even concert posters from back then. Oh my gosh.
There was, and I think it's some of my favorites, and they're not all paintings or drawings, and some of them were photographs. I can't remember the name of the ZZ Top album, but if you opened it up, it had that big old Mexican plate with enchiladas.
Really?
I mean, it's a great photograph. I'll see if I can look it up online.
But you're right, because there's a lot of those artists are very well known within the industry, and they should be brought out more because some of that artwork on those albums is really good.
Van Halen, Fair Warning, kind of reminds me a little bit of that.
Yeah,
Slayer. A lot of the Slayer albums remind me of that. Angel of Death. It's got like Satan on a throne and everything.
What's your favorite album cover art?
Yeah.
There's one little guy. I can't remember if he's in the middle or at the end, but he's one of the little demons that's got like this boogie-eyed look, and
the one that's
creepy.
The one that's eating a person, or the one that's a demon. There's a little rabbit in there.
He looks like a demon, like a little demon.
As it gets darker and darker as I go up.
Yeah, they're
it's all kinds of weirdness.
They're very creepy.
All kinds of weirdness stuff going on. And,
but yeah, back in those days, artists were normally commissioned to like do artwork for churches. The church was big back then, so they were all supposed to be teaching something with their artwork about like what you should be like, what about how to behave, what your morals are, with following the church.
Dante's Inferno was a literary version. Of what's going to happen if you do something bad.
That's what it kind of reminds me of. Yeah, it's like you're going through circles of hell, and you reach the bottom with that
time
third
of the
panel.
Inquisition and all that.
And it rivals anything I would see today, where people are trying to depict what hell looks like. I haven't seen anything that looks quite this terrible.
my room.
Yeah, room.
I haven't cleaned it up in a while.
You got all these people laying around.
Got a demon under my bookshelf.
But I'm a kind of a fan of his. He's got other artworks too, but those are the ones that really got me. So hopefully, you'll see those.
Did you ever listen to the album? Like, because I would think like whenever you look at an album and what you see on the front, you expect that the music in there is going to reflect it a little bit. That's why the artist chose it. Like I said, like Slayer, you see demons on it. So of course, when you listen to the music, that's what you think of. Like, oh my God, I'm in hell.
Yeah.
But I mean, what about that one? Did you listen to the Deep Purple album?
No, again, we were at somebody else's house, and I think we were kids. If we had put it on, we would probably messed it up, and he probably got really upset with us.
But you never listened to it since then?
No,
Okay,
I haven't heard. I know Deep Purple, I know their record, but not that particular album.
Oh, okay. I was just curious.
And since we were researching art, I didn't actually research the songs on the album, but I did research the artwork. So that's maybe next time I'll do some
a record review.
Yeah,
album review.
Yeah.
So I looked up the image I mentioned of
the
album.
So
if you open the album for the Tres Hombres ZZ Top album, it had a picture of this.
enchiladas and everything.
So it also folds.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's funny, while I'm looking it up, it looks like an Austin artist recreated the image. Yeah.
Darn those Austinites.
Yeah.
Keeping Austin weird. The other artist I was going to talk about was, of course, this guy's my all-time favorite artist is Pablo Picasso, who's born back in the 18th century, but most of his art he did in the 19th century. I'm going to go over this pretty quickly because everybody's pretty familiar with Pablo Picasso. Early in his life, between 1901 and 1904, he went through his blue period where he depicted lots of people, but there was a blue tint to the works that he did. So I refer to it as his blue period. One is called the Old Guitarist, where it looks like a homeless man playing a guitar. He looks sad, and a lot of the artwork depicts something sad, which goes along with the blueness, I guess. But that was his blue period. Then he went through his red period or rose period between 1904 and 1906. Things were a little brighter, a little more reddish. Again, the reddish tint. Not so much sadness, but just different things that he would see because he was Spaniard. So these are the things he would see on the streets and things around where he lived. But then he also as he got older, he evolved as an artist, and every phase he was doing something that no one had ever done before. He was creating something new. So he got into something called cubism, and then he really started going outside. This is why I said what I said earlier about rules not applying to artists, because he said, to heck with the rules, I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. And so he started creating cubist art. From what I understand, he started using paper, just arranging paper sheets on a palette in different ways and trying to create an image, not necessarily one that you could understand what it was, but just a general idea of what an image was. And so some people would look at it, I don't know what that is. And then he would tell them, and you look at it a little more and like, oh, okay, maybe I do see that, and he would just use cubism. And he's obviously used that cubism, and a lot of artists today are very influenced by him. Yes, but that's how it started. Then he started using paint, not paper, but paint to create some of his cubist images, which is also very, very stark and very, again, you look at it and it's like, wow, let me look. And you look at all the brush strokes and the images, the shading and things like that. And see, that's a kind of art that, again, it's not a still life. If I'm looking at a pear, I'm looking at a brush stroke. If I'm looking at a brush stroke, that's really something that's drawing me in. And that's something I really pay attention to when I see new artists. I look at the shading and the details that they do. It's not like just get a brush and draw like a banana. I want to look at the details. That put a lot of attention and detail into that piece of art, and that if it's drawing me in, then they did their job. They got me to pay attention to it and really look at it and try to interpret it, because ultimately I think that's what every artist wants, is people to be able to interpret their work. And they may not interpret it the same way, but they don't just see it as something in a frame and then go on. I remember I took my daughter to the museum once because they were showing Picasso, and they had this beautiful tapestry to Picasso. I was just admiring it, and then I couldn't find my daughter because she was down. She could care less. Okay, and a lot of people, they're not into art because they just don't understand it that well. Of course, my daughter was very little, but I want to, I don't want to be in it, but I want to see it up close and not touch it, but I just want to see how he put it together and what he was thinking when he did that and when he did this. And, that's what I like to see when I see an art. Also, back in the 1930s, I think, 1937, there was a revolution in Spain, and it was very violent. And he was unfortunately in that. And I will say this, he was a communist, but this isn't about politics. This is about his art. So he had his side that he liked, and, so he painted this one piece of art called Guernica, which is kind of a representation of the violence and the horror of war. And it's one of his well-known art. And I'd seen it in books many, many times, but I didn't realize that it was a tapestry. It was huge. It was a wall, and when they had the the showing at the museum here, and I went to see it. I was just awestruck because I had no idea how big it was. And that's the one I was looking at when my daughter was down the hallway looking at something else. I couldn't stop. I didn't realize it was how large it was. It was absolutely magnificent, and it's really, really evocative of lots of emotions. You really see how the violence and the horror of war, and that's also one of his very well-known artworks. So those are the two artworks I was going to talk about. Two artists that I talked about. I don't know if anybody has anything else to say about them, but he's one of the most influential artists ever.
What were these artists? And I guess I can ask you, Belinda, you might know more about the history, but when these artists came out, like, were they all like celebrities, like as soon as they started developing art? Because from what I understand, a lot of artists, they didn't become famous till like way later after they died. You know what I mean? Like you think about some of these guys, some of them died poor, and yet their paintings sell for like millions and millions of dollars now. But at you know, at the time,
well, yeah, you have both extremes. You know, Vincent van Gogh sold one painting while he was alive, and really, like, his work didn't become really public until after his death. And you know, it's like now he's like one of the most loved artists. And then there's other people. Picasso was very, very famous during the time he was doing his work. He was known to have like lots of affairs, and he was very popular and just all over the place. He branched out into like different areas of art, not just paintings, and you know, not just, I guess, not just graphic art, but he like went on to design.
I believe one of his daughters, Paloma Picasso, was known for jewelry design, wasn't it?
I believe it was jewelry, might have been fashion, I don't remember. But yeah, she also is known for her work. Yeah, so it just ranges, it just depends. And yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah. So how do y'all feel about NFTs? Are y'all familiar with that term?
The digital pieces of art. I don't get that.
I don't know it.
I don't get it. Like I don't get cryptocurrency and that sort of thing. like I don't get that, like digital, like it's, I have to have something in my hand to be able to say like, well, this is, you know, like I'm going to pay for this thing here. But when you're paying for like something that's digital that exists, like,
well, it would be like, you know, something like that, and only you own. No, you can't. You know, you can't make any other copies of it and whatnot. Yeah.
But supposedly it's only exclusive to you, right? You can't copy it. Like nobody else can copy it. It's a digital painting, but no one else has it except for you.
Digital artwork.
Who creates it?
Anybody really.
Any artist can make it.
Can make it. But
normally there would be digital artists who, you know, like know how to.
But you know how you can like sometimes like copy like a picture off of the internet and then, you know, save it to your computer. You can't do that with an NFT. It's only exclusive to you once you buy it, and that's it. No one else can copy it, and you can't reproduce it.
So you're not just buying the art; you're buying the rights to it.
Yeah,
sort of. Yeah, I guess, yeah.
So nobody else.
It's NFT stands for non-fungible tokens.
Non-fungible.
Non-fungible.
Is it that thing we just talked about a while ago? What was it again?
Sfumato.
Was that sfumato?
It's sfumato.
Sfumato token.
Yeah, and so supposedly, you know, it can be a 3D image, it can be a flat image, it can be anything that's made digitally. Yeah. But there's only like one copy in existence. You cannot make multiple copies of it.
Seeing as digital, does that mean it would only be one-dimensional? You couldn't do sculpture that way, or
you could do 3D images.
Okay.
And it only exists wherever you have it saved, like you know, in your computer. They do have like, I think like frames or something that are digital frames and you can display it, but it's not like an actual painting that you can like, you know, mount to the wall.
Yeah.
That's tangible that you can touch and see and look at, you know. It just
I'm
exists in
not,
whatever
I'm not
device
too
you have
sure
it on.
about it or too crazy about it either, because, yeah, I don't know how you would like
People pay a lot of money for that.
display those. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, they have those frames, but
You go to an art gallery, there's a bunch of phones on the wall.
yeah, I don't know.
Honors.
It's a little hard to
They're all being
understand.
recharged.
That's like I was saying, like I understand like cryptocurrency.
Yeah, it
It's
would
like
be, yeah.
digital money, but I don't see it in my hand. I'm used to having like
And you gotta mine
the
it or
greenbacks,
I don't.
cheddar.
I'm not even gonna get into the cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
That one just blows my
Right.
mind. But yeah. Well, you know what? Our timer hasn't gone off still. I wonder if there's something.
I know. Are we recording?
It is recording. I see the
so.
little record button is on. It better not be on pause. I'll be PO'd if it's on
Well,
pause.
check it.
It says not recording.
It does
It
not.
says not recording. Fool. I need to take a break.
Go take us a break.
Go take
All
a
right, we'll be
break.
back.
I need snacks.
All right. Well, anything else that we want to talk about?
Did you talk about your artist?
No,
Belinda?
no. I mean, I kind of touched upon Mondrian. That was, yeah, Mondrian. That was the one that I had chosen. So there's really not a lot more I can say.
No Georgia O'Keeffe.
No,
No,
Georgia O'Keeffe. I should have done a woman. I
No,
don't know
Edvard.
why I did another man,
no Edvard Munch.
Edvard Monk. No,
Is it Monk?
Monk.
Jagan. I come from another country. I come from Easy Pants country. So.
Edvard Munch, brother to Butt.
Tell jokes when I have food in my mouth, man.
Oh my god.
That's why he changed his name.
Ay,
That's why he changed his name to Monk.
It's pronounced Frankenstein.
Yeah, we're really sophisticated art lovers.
yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't really have like one artist I can just talk about, because I would want to talk about like another and another and another.
Well,
Okay, how about this?
we're always talking about we don't
What
have
was
enough-
like the first artist that you ever saw? Like maybe you can think of just one. The first one you ever saw that you were like
Theodore Geisel,
that just gave okay. That's it. That started your love.
my
story.
first.
Dr. Seuss, isn't
Oh yeah.
So that started your
Dr.
love
Seuss.
affair with art. After that?
No, that did not start. No, what did? I don't know.
Well, see, as I mentioned, I started appreciating art before I knew it was art.
See,
No,
and
I
I've been in art classes since I was in second grade.
Hmm.
So it's like, what was my first thing? I don't know. What was the very first piece of art? I don't know. I do remember one thing, one photograph that like really, really affected me. Back in the 60s.
You don't have to say
I
you were
was-
from that time.
I
You could
don't
just
have
say,
to
I
say-
remember looking in a book and back in the 60s.
You know,
I don't know. I was probably about 6 or 7.
I've seen dinosaurs in museums. That doesn't mean I'm a caveman.
True.
Cave art.
Cave art, yes. Yeah, the Lascaux Caves. Well, I remember back when. No, there was a photograph that really that really affected me and like threw me for kind of like your Bosque.
Hieronymus.
Yeah,
Bosch.
Hieronymus painting
Box.
thing.
Box.
Woodcut, whatever.
Kabak.
Esfumato.
Esfumato.
No, it was back, and I can't remember. I think it was either a Time or a Life magazine back when they still had Time Life magazines, which they still do, but it's not the same.
I remember those.
Yeah,
You
they.
talking about like the big ones?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was a big giant.
Look.
Life
Magazine.
magazine.
Yes. And it was a photograph of a scene of something that happened in the Vietnam War, and it was a soldier who had like a disembodied head, like they had,
Oh, wow.
yeah, they were holding it.
Mhm.
And that, like, back then, I don't know, it just really, like, it didn't scare me. I didn't cry. I wasn't having nightmares about it afterward, but it just really, like,
Stirred up something in you.
yeah,
Kinda like,
yeah,
hmm.
yeah. It's like, why would they put this on the cover
Hmm.
and everybody's seeing it? That's kind of horrible type of thing. But I was at my very first introduction to
And that kind of goes back to what
an
we were saying about
artistic,
how it evokes something inside
Yeah.
people, right?
yeah,
It evokes something inside you,
Mhm.
right? That you
Yeah,
still remember to this
definitely.
day.
yeah, I still remember it. I mean, vividly, I have that picture like framed in my head. Yeah, it was pretty bad. But like, just any regular artists, I don't know. Well, I don't know, but we were introduced to lots of stuff, in elementary. So that's why I think it's so important to have the arts in schools. And they keep cutting it, and they get rid of art teachers and they bring in teaching artists, which is fine, but a lot of times they don't know, they don't have like the pedagogical knowledge to like teach a class. I mean, they can teach them how to make art, but sometimes you need a little bit more. I don't know.
What do you think about like censoring art? Like how sometimes, like nowadays, especially with books being censored in some
Yeah,
schools,
no,
where they're
that's
saying,
ridiculous.
but what about art? Like saying like, oh, you shouldn't let
shouldn't
kids see
show-
that because it's
Don't show that nude. They're gonna have like, it's like, it's art. No, I don't have a problem with that. I probably wouldn't show them, I wouldn't show anything to a child that would be considered, pornographic or vulgar in that sense. I introduce them to things a little bit at a time. I don't want to scare them either and have them, have nightmares, that kind of thing.
their parents calling them.
Right. No, that would make me feel horrible. But I mean, to censor it and not let anybody, like get a chance to look at stuff by the time they're in high school, that's fine. But yeah, my art normally tends to be, I think I'm more of a formalist, where I'm like, I look at the elements and the principles and how they're put together. The elements of art, like color and shapes and lines and how they're put together, whether there's a pattern, whether there's rhythm to it or whatnot. So in that sense, I guess I feel like I'm more on that end of the scale when I'm viewing artwork. But if there's something that, does provoke an emotion or action from me, I think that's pretty cool too.
Well said.
Well, I don't know, guys. Is this it?
I think so.
Are we done?
I think so.
We're done with our snacks and our cookies and
Or pronunciation.
Lack thereof.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's what we have for art. What you guys at home think?
Who's your favorite artist?
Who is your favorite artist? Do you consider everything art? Are there certain things that you don't
squirrel that
consider
just ran
art?
by, it's art.
Are there any subjects that you want us to talk about? Give us something. Make sure that you are following us on the what do you call them? The
Social media?
thank you. On social media, you'll find all of them below.
Social media.
The internet?
I got a
Social media.
brain fart going on here.
Cat finally got up. This cat's been sleeping all
Aw, poor
afternoon. Should I go
baby.
get her and bring her over here?
Bring her over.
So everybody can laugh at her.
Aw,
yeah.
make them
Where's she
laugh at her. Poor baby.
I gotta go humiliate my cat.
Aw.
They're making an appearance. Special guest appearance.
The Pod Squad cat.
The cat.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna take you back to the vet. Come here.
Like, I don't trust you
Aw,
anymore.
poor thing. She's naked.
And they put the little
Poor little
thing on
naked,
the tail,
naked girl.
Yeah,
looking like a lion.
The lion. Uh-huh.
because you remember the last time we did a show, I brought her out. And she was all fluffy. Not anymore.
Aw, poor little girl.
Well, don't spread your legs. People can see you now.
Poor kitty.
She got a line cut because she had too many mats. So no mats. Not anymore.
I'm sure it's a lot cooler for her too.
Yeah, I hope she's not get too cold.
Yeah.
You're a naked kitty.
Give her a little sweater to put on. A cardi.
See, I think that's cruel, but
No, especially if she's like that.
Yeah.
I don't want her to get
Give her a blanket or something.
So anyway, I guess that's it. Stop by next time, and we do apologize. I don't know what this is going to turn out like, but I do want to apologize for our last episode. The audio was horrible. It was just I tried to fix it, just could not do it. And hopefully this time around it's a little better. So anyway, I guess that's it. Good guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
say bye, kitty.
Bye, kitty.